Alright. I did not wanna get this information out now because I hate doing demonstrations of things that are not finished, but might as well because of reasons. Um, so this is something that I've been working on for a while now. It's been more than 2 months probably. I haven't had a lot of time to work on it lately, but it's mostly working. I did use it for a few races that I was watching last year, and I've been using it at least as a tracker to stream this year. So let me just show, like, just straight what it does. So if you put here your number of small dragons and big dragons and I don't know thunders, right? And you can put the amount of equips here, I don't know, amount of traps and stuff like that. Um, and you click here, it basically going to tell you the best duels that you can take in order to increase your deck strength. And what does that mean? I'm going to wait for it to finish so I can actually explain better what that means. But in the meantime, I can show you guys how it works. So the entire premise is the spreadsheet, the win calculator that we know and love and use. So the idea here is that first of all, I have to note the drop rates of cards, more specifically card types, right? So I basically use the lists of drops that you can find like anywhere on the internet of the APOW, ATAC, and BCD tables. And I run an analysis looking for these cards, um, these cards here, and for these ones, just the card itself. And then it creates like a CSV table, which is, I believe it's called output, right? Yep. This one. And you have the duelist. What's the drop rate for crush cards on ATAC? And of course for Simon is 0. And then the amount of dragons you get on APOW, which is 20. The amount of thunders you get on ATAC, which is 30, and so on and so forth. So this spreadsheet here basically tells me n out of 2048 the rate of drops. So for example, Simon Muran drops small dragons on APAL 20 out of 2048. So with that in mind, with the drops in hand, what we do is we open the spreadsheet using PyUno, which basically controls an instance of LibreOffice. So you open the spreadsheet, right? You set up your spreadsheet like here. So you go into the spreadsheet and you add 10 dragons, you add 2 big dragons, you add 10 thunders, and so on. And then that's your basis, right? That's your deck strength, it's 3%. And now, what we do after that is that we check how good the deck would be if you get 1 extra dragon, and then 2 extra dragons, 3 extra dragons, 4 extra dragons, 1 crush card, 2 crush cards, and so on and so forth. So you test the possibility for every possible card improvement in your deck. And that's what you can see here, right? So adding 1 dragon on the spreadsheet would increase your win probability by 0.1%, 0.18%. And you can see here for 6 extra big dragons is actually a 1% increase. And you can check cards that are stronger, right? We have 0 MBDs right now. So if you get 1 MBD, you get 8%. 2 MBDs, you get 19%. And 3 MBDs, you get to 30%. So basically, you know what's the percentage of increase, not percentage, sorry, the absolute value of the percentage of winning the game that gets increased with each of these changes in your deck, right? So that's step one, calculating all of this. And then step two is basically to check, hey, what's the probability of me dropping one dragon from each duelist? And what's the probability of me dropping 4 dragons? 1 crush card, 1 megamorph, 2 megamorphs, 3 megamorphs, right? Because we know all of those. We have all of those calculated already in the output. So basically we do some math to figure out, hey, this guy here drops dragons, he drops crush cards, he drops bright castles, he drops dark energies, and the probability of getting each of these cards times how much your deck would increase, right, is this number. And this number is what I call expected value. This one, EV, right? So for Metal Mage, the EV is 2.1%. And what the fuck does that mean? That means that with your current deck right here, right? This is your current deck. Every APOW you do on Metal Mage, on average, your deck strength is going to increase by 2%. And now, of course, like if you do an APOW and you get a card that increases the strength of your deck, all of this changes, right? The next APOW is not going to be the same expected value. So this only considers the next duel. It doesn't consider like 3 duels with Metal Mage or 3 8X or something like that. It's just for the next duel. But at least you have that information. Like, hey, the expected value from Metal Mage is 2.1. And you can see here that the expected value from Pegasus, right? You can see here. It's actually 6%. So your deck is going to increase on average by 6% win rate by every 8 deck. But, and this is something that is not objective, is something that I added subjective because it's what I thought it would be correct. An ATAC takes around 9 turns, while an APOW takes an average of 3.5 or 3, depending on the stage of the game you are and how your deck looks like. So, I just set that the cost of doing an APOW is 1, and the cost of doing an ATAC is 3. And why is that? Because it doesn't matter if you have a 6% expected value from Pegasus if it takes 10 hours to do one ATAC, right? So you have to take that into account as well. And that's what utility is. Utility is the expected value divided by the cost. So that's the actual number that we care about here. Because the APOW, the cost is 1, it's always going to be the same. But for the attack on Pegasus, the cost is 3. So it's actually, you divide it by 3 basically, right? And now you can see something funny here on the Kaiba attack. Why is the EV 2.5, but utility is 1.2, right? That's super high. There's a couple attacks like Kepura and Kaiba that you usually just do on campaign. And on campaign, you're like basically fighting a duel that you would anyway. You don't have a choice. You have to fight those 2 duelists. So in order to keep that in mind, I just added I subtracted that intrinsic cost, let's put it this way. So I consider those duels to be cost 2. I could have 2 versions of Kaiba attack here, one on campaign and one not, and that's something that I was planning to add, but it's on the roadmap basically. I haven't done that yet. So yeah, that's basically it. That's what it does. To run it, all you need to do is having the, I mean, besides the output CSV here, you need the forbidden memories ring calculator 2.1, the uh, XLSX file. I do convert it to an ODS file, so you need to do that. Um, Besides that, I don't think there's anything else you need besides an installation of LibreOffice for this to work. I did try to do this in several other ways before, right? I tried to actually go open the spreadsheet, understand like what kind of math is like being done, extract that, and then create the software out of that. Uh, but that was not possible. It's way too complicated. Even like Chat GPT cannot extract any meaningful formulas that would actually help me. So I went with the route of using the spreadsheet itself. So there's a couple of issues with this still. So for example, this takes a long time to run. I'm gonna add some more cards here, and I'll run it again, and I'll let you guys see how long it takes. Uh, and it's pretty obvious after what I said, right? Why it takes so long. Basically, you're checking all of those probability chances on the spreadsheet, right? That takes a long time. You have to go do one by one. And I do have some contingency measures to make it be a little less demanding on your computer, on my computer. For example, um, if I see that one extra dragon already has no expected value, meaning that increasing the dragons on the spreadsheet is not increasing the win rate, I stop doing it. And even if it does increase, but the number is so small that it's irrelevant, right? I also don't do it anymore. As you can see here, the maximum you can go is 3 cards, and if you already has 3 bright castles, it doesn't check for bright castles anymore, so that's also saved. Here you have 2 megamorphs, so it would only check increasing your deck by 1 megamorph because that's the maximum amount, and also because the spreadsheet only takes up to 6 normal equips, at least this version of the spreadsheet that I'm using. The sum of the equips here also should not go over 6, because all the, like, if you do that, it's not gonna count for all of those. It's gonna, for example, if you put like 3 here, it's probably gonna add like this 3, this 1, and this 2, and this is gonna be ignored. And it's also not gonna check how much it would increase, right? Because the spreadsheet cannot handle that. And that's a problem with the spreadsheet itself, right? And that's one of my complaints, is that according to what's written on the documents of the spreadsheet, this was done by manually dueling on free duel and checking the win rates, which I don't think is very scientific. If it was maybe done using some kind of automated tool or something like that, or just like some math that's done based on your deck and probability of you drawing a card versus the enemy deck probability of him drawing a card, and knowing the AI the way we do, and knowing what's the correct quote unquote way to play, we could, like, I don't know, try to do some math on that and have a better spreadsheet. But this version of the spreadsheet is what I have to go with, so that's what I have. Before, like, giving this out, what I wanted to do is first, there's no thunder dragons, as you can see, which is a differentiation that the spreadsheet does. So I would like to add that. The spreadsheet also always assumes that you start with Raigeki, which I would also like to add, like, some kind of radio button here to say which one you have, and tell the spreadsheet that information, because that kind of influences a lot on the win rate, especially when it comes to removals. And also, if I can have multiple threads opening multiple spreadsheets at the same time, I can cut the processing time uh, basically by any factor that you want, as long as your PC can handle opening multiple spreadsheets. Um, but I haven't have time to test that out yet. Um, I'm not a Python dev. Actually a Java developer. I work with a lot of Angular and React as well. Do like corporate stuff, right? So I'm not very used to making graphical interfaces for desktop like that. That's why this looks as ugly as it does. And it does look like this because I did use ChatGPT to write the GUI part at least, right? So you can see here there's uh, two different scripts here. One is this one, which is actually the one that does the calculation. So this one I mostly did myself. Uh, but this one with the GUI was mostly with the help of our good old friend ChatGPT. I didn't even know what to use, so I had to go and check. This is basically done using for the nerds that are interested. This is doing using TK Intern, I believe is what it's called. And the access of the spreadsheet is done using something called PyUno, which is a Python library that can basically access. It can open a process of like LibreOffice, right? So you can use it, for example, to write like a text document or a spreadsheet or a PowerPoint, whatever. And yeah, that's basically it. Very interested to hearing your guys' feedback. I know I have teased about this before, but again, as you can see, it's kind of complicated, and I didn't want to like pull too much attention to it before it was done. But the current circumstances made me do it right now. I'm very interested to know what you guys think. Again, my main idea of using this was for viewing experience, not playing. That's why I don't mind that it's like slow, right? First of all, it doesn't help you with like PBing in any way, sort of form, because you don't farm on your PB. It can help you in races, but again, it's pretty slow, so I'm not sure if it would. Uh, but it would be very nice for like, for example, if you're commenting on a race. That's like a discussion that always arises, and that's the reason that I started making this, which is what would be the best scenario for this player now? What should he farm? Should he go to metal? Should he go do an ATAC? Should the player go and do I don't know uh, what's that guy's name? The the one that drops dark energy that I forgot now. Anyway, uh, that guy, Mage Soldier. Yep. Uh, should you do Mage Soldier to get some dark energies, right? Uh, so I think it was kind of interesting to just have like a actual objective way of answering that question. And of course, like I hear that a lot when I talk about things like that in the community, is that uh, the spreadsheet can say one number, but that's not reality. Which is like, oh, your deck is 50%, but you have no removals, or this deck is 23%, but I like it, quote unquote. Uh, and I think that's kind of silly. Like math is math. It doesn't matter if you like it or not. Doesn't matter if you don't like the way the deck is structured. If the deck size is 40% versus 23, the 40% is almost twice as likely to like win the game, right? Uh, so I don't know. I guess either you trust what the spreadsheet is saying, or we stop looking at the winning percentage because it's useless. Anyway, that's just me ranting. Yeah, take care.